positive thoughts when I'm not around. Back me up when I stand my ground, and lift me up when they push me down. If you say your family and your family now.
So they ended up seizing a second tanker, and this time in the Strait of Hormuz. This sends echoes in our community because everyone has watched the Strait of Hormuz and all of these straits for a very long time. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. But I'm sure some of the Foogle fam will be able to explain to you. But the Iran's Revolutionary Guard ended up seizing a second tanker, and it says that the paramilitary Revolutionary Guard seized a Panamanian-flagged oil tanker in the strategic Strait of Hormuz on Wednesday, the second such capture by Tehran in under a week amid heightened tensions over its nuclear program. The taking of the oil tanker Niovi renewed concerns about threatening maritime traffic in the strait, the narrow mouth of the Persian Gulf through which a fifth of all crude passes. It also comes amid the disappearance of a crude oil tanker in the Southeast Asia, believed to be carrying crude oil amid reports it may have been seized by the U.S. It says the U.S. Navy published surveillance footage shot by an aerial drone of about a dozen guard vessels swarming the tanker around 6:20 a.m. The drone had been on a routine patrol in the area and saw the seizure through the Navy, though it did not receive a distress call from the Niovi itself, Fifth Fleet spokesman Commodore Timothy Hawkins said. This sounds pretty shady. So there just happens to be a drone, and I'm assuming this is like a Predator or some sort of larger drones, something straight out of like a Nicolas Cage movie where it's just flying around and it happens to see it. And what really kind of gets me is, on top of the international stuff our drones do, the fact that, you know, during stuff that happened in our country, we find out later that, oh yeah, by the way, there was actually drones there watching. How many of these drones are actually watching us right now? That's what I want to know. But on the side note, the fact that they just happened to catch this on video and they basically say this, it makes some bells go off, because obviously for years people have waited for a possible event to go down in the Strait of Hormuz or somewhere around here. And of course, all of these things are going down in this. Could this cause something massive? I don't know. Probably not. But if something happens where you see one of their boats or a boat that's painted like their boat end up attacking, say, a U.S. boat or a direct, U.S. Military boat, then you have something like a WW3 scenario, which that is probably not the most likely out of all of the other ways that we could go to WW3 right now. And people like myself think that it's already started. It just hasn't been declared. So we'll talk about this and much, much more. We're going to talk about how the Kremlin got hit. It got hit more than once, I believe. We'll talk about that as well, and how this now gives him reason, Vlad, to strike. So there is a lot going on. They're saying it was this, it was that, or it was this group or that group. I think a door just got opened that cannot be closed, and it's not good. So get ready. This is not going to be a fun one. If you are easily stressed out, I would tune out now. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Speak positive thoughts when I'm not around. Back me up when I stand my ground, and lift me up when they push me down. If you say your family and your family now, speak positive thoughts when I'm not around. Back me up when I stand my ground, and lift me up
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we got a ton to go over, and just a warning before today's show, because in today's day and age, everybody needs a warning for everything. But being serious, this is not going to be a fun show. So if you're easily stressed or you have anxiety, you probably don't want to watch today's show. And if you don't like scary movies, don't watch scary movies. Don't watch today's show. I normally don't say that, I'll say that, once in a while, but today is, frankly, it from what I have heard from the people that I trust, I'm going to be changing the channel up a little bit, and I'm going to be trying to add some value to it, through other things. And some of the things I've heard, some of the people I've talked to as well, I've talked to several people today, including Alaska Prepper, and then, some of our military members, and I am not, I guess it has, along with the rest of this week of just all of the crazy stuff coming in, because we get emails from around the world, we get regular people, we get, of course, we have military members. I believe that I'm going to be changing this channel up to add more tips and things that we can do as a solution, because there's going to be a lot of problems coming up. So, just remember that. And then today, if you want to go check the sources on today's show, we always have a full bibliography, so you know exactly where we're getting this information. Go over to marfooglenews.com. You'll look for today's thumbnail. Again, you'll see this thumbnail. Will this start it all? And then once you click on that, Kremlin Was Hit, it will bring you to every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're going to show you here today, including all of the crazy stuff we're going to talk about, including the ransomware attacks on Texas, obviously who they just put in charge of recruitment, which is funny because we just covered this stuff, and then everything else that's happening across the planet. So make sure to go check that out. At the very bottom, there is the web only. That is the stuff that could not fit into the show, or it goes more to the political angle. So make sure to go check that out as well. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we have a lot to go over here as far as the tanker. Dex, I mean, can this cause problems if they keep doing this? If they just keep taking these oil tankers, could that cause problems? Or does this just end up being sort of they hold the ship hostage until they get what they want? Or, I mean, this has happened before, but it seems like, why right now?
Well, it's not an action that is taken during peaceful times. So it's an action that's taken during aggression. And if they keep doing it, it keeps showing signs of aggression. And if they keep doing it, it does have some sort of effect to the oil prices, et cetera. It won't be something that they'll be able to continue doing for long before the community overall, mostly the West, would step in and actually do something. Now, as we reported the first time they took one, it was in retaliation to us taking one of theirs that was sanctioned and was, I guess we were saying we were rightfully in a position to take it. They're just retaliatorily taking these other tankers, or at least that's the message that's been given to us on, from our media or from the media that we read. So I think, though, if they continue to do this, it's not going to be something that it's going to last very long. It will escalate into something else. There may be more military presence there. There may be escorts or things like that for the ships, because they're not going to, they're not just going to allow this to continue to happen.
Well, as far as the ships being taken, it's just one more sign of the times. And this is, there's so much more today. The city of Dallas, Texas is under ransomware attack. Now, there was of course, the solar winds, the one of the largest hacks in history. And I believe that there's going to be a lot more things like this. Now, this, they say, is ransomware, which they could have fished for this. They could have done all sorts of things to deliver these things. But it says the city of Dallas, Texas, confirmed to Cyber News that it has been hit by ransomware. It says the ransom attack caused City Hall network servers to go down and knock down the Dallas Police Department website off of line. It says Dallas officials put out a media statement after notifying the mayor, the city council, and triggering the city's incident response plan. It says that Wednesday morning, the city's security monitoring tools notified our Security Operations Center, or SOC, that a likely ransomware attack had been launched within our environment, the city said. Subsequently, the city has confirmed that a number of servers have been compromised with ransomware, impacting several functional areas, including the Dallas Police Department website. A spokesman for the Dallas Police said that the outage caused the department's computer-assisted dispatch system to go down, forcing police to use its backup radio system to dispatch officers to 911 emergency calls. This is reported local news, Fox Station 4. It says that Dallas is the 9th largest city in the U.S. and the 3rd largest in the Lone Star State, with a population of about 1.3 million. It's a huge city. It says that the DPD noted where there were no issues or delays with receiving 911's calls and dispatching responding officers. Cyber News can confirm that the Dallas City Hall website was still down late Wednesday afternoon, but the Dallas Police Department's website was back up and running. The city's web address was returning a blank page, reading, "The page cannot be displayed because of an internal server error." Now, Dex, you're smarter than me when it comes to this stuff. As far as the ransomware attack that happened here, specifically, this affected the computer-assisted dispatch. This also affected the police department. Is this something that obviously could have been worse, that could have affected? And it's so crazy that our infrastructure is based on, stuff that can be hacked.
Well, it was also reported, and I guess it's not as much detail, but if you sort of read between the lines in this article, when the system was down, while the phone calls were being answered because the phone system wasn't down, they didn't have the technical capability of taking the call and transferring it to and dispatching it electronically to their officers. They were literally writing the stuff down and then radioing an officer to then go deal with the emergency call. So that doesn't scale, right? That doesn't allow things to move fast. So fortunately for them, they probably didn't have a crazy day with calls, but had there been some major incidences going on, I could imagine that something like that not working in a town as big as that would cause some serious problems.
So here's what I think. I think other cities should be aware, because if this happened, this might have been a test, and they all use a very similar system. They could do this to a much bigger city. They could do this to New York or somewhere else that has a higher population. They're 9th, right? One of the 8 bigger cities, and they could knock this down at a time when, say, they just laid off all of the people that would be able to take the notes down. They could cause some real serious trouble. And at the same time they knock this down, they could do some sort of event. So that's something to think about is if this happened during normal times and there was regular calls and they were able to handle it. What if there was a massive event and maybe a stage, something that was planned out and had multiple areas in trouble, where, this is something like a coordinated something, like a 2001 event. If something like that happened at the same time as this, it would be sheer pandemonium. So people should have their head on a swivel. Right now, there is according to the Davos Group, a 93% chance in the next 2 years, a catastrophic cyber event happening. Now, that SolarWinds accessed very, very specific areas, and areas that involved HR and human resources and hiring. They could actually have given themselves badges. And by themselves, whoever did this, it could have been groups. It could have been all numbers of major state actors that did this, and most assume Russia, right? They could have sleeper cells in the country, 2,000 of them that could have given themselves badges, hid themselves somewhere buried in the system, given themselves actual access badges to infrastructure all over the country. Show me how that isn't possible with what they hacked during SolarWinds. And then they could have somehow buried themselves, made it look like it was never affected. I mean, this is cyber stuff. I mean, I'm not the biggest expert, but the stuff that they access, like the Black Start program, it's pretty obvious what they were kind of gearing to do or what they were trying to find out. So I sure hope that nothing happens, but I mean, they're telegraphing what is going on right now. But just think of it, even if you think, oh, well, it's all a distraction, this and that, think about this. If everything does go down a cyber event, and maybe say they actually have control over it and they can get it up back much sooner and faster. So say, when everything goes down, we think, oh, it's going to be 2 years. Everybody's going to start freaking out. Then they do get everything back up and running. They end up, coming down even harder, and their control is even greater. And they're able to say, well, this happened. We can never let this happen again. And we've got to take new steps. We've got to change how we think of this, and we've got to change everything around it to prevent something like this happening again. And of course, when that does happen, if something like that happens, it's like there's going to be real people that are hurt and perish in that kind of event. So I would be paying attention, head on a swivel, people. Make sure to pay attention to everything around you and get your ducks in a row. Zippy Moons, thank you for the Ninja Guinea over on DLive. I appreciate that. Yobi, thank you for your support over on DLive. And then I don't know if he's going to stop in. I was talking to Alaska Prepper earlier today, and man, it's crazy how so many of us are on the same page right now. Essentially, he has the same view as me. It's like at some point, you just got to... There's no point in trying to convince people that aren't going to be convinced. There are some folks that just don't want to be, and if that's totally up to people on their own. And if they don't believe that something massive is coming, then I guess that's their own opinion, right? I guess I'm trying to reach the people that can be reached, and I hope that more people are gonna kind of wake up to this. I truly believe that we are heading into a really, really rocky time. And I hope that people really take seriously their plans on how they're going to prep. This is why preppers prep. And just to clarify, if you're new here, this is this is current events and things from a prepper's standpoint. We're looking at things and trying to find patterns. Maybe we won't find the pattern, but a lot of the times we have. Before CV happened, we knew it was coming. We showed you there were graphs. There were all of these articles talking about this is going to happen soon. There were the 3-letter agencies that ran the world for a while. They were putting out graphs on how the next demic was going to affect the entire planet. And they showed specific examples how it was going to financially destroy the planet. And now it's happened, and that did happen. There were table talk exercises. There were all of these things. And we told you in shows beforehand, we said, this is going to happen soon. There are these weird drills, these weird exercises. It looks like they're planning for this. When it did happen, a lot of people ended up thanking not only myself and Dex and everybody else, everybody thanked all of my peers that were warning the same thing. It's not like we were the only ones. All of us collectively saw the common sense signs, and we said, hey, you need to prepare for this. Right now, the common sense signs are saying that we're about to go into a WW3 scenario, and what's most likely is some sort of cyber event or some sort of grid down. That is the most likely out of all of the crazy scenarios. And we're going to talk about some of the crazier ones today, like this whole Yellowstone thing. There's a whole sect of people that believe that Yellowstone is actually the top priority as far as like it is the worst disaster and it is coming before anything else. So for you guys, hey, if that's what you think, you may be right according to some. Yellowstone. If Yellowstone happens, the world is almost over. I mean, it could literally shut out the sun for 2 years. So we'll talk about that too. That's one of the crazier ones today. But first, we were just talking about the recruitment numbers, and it's crazy because yesterday I even asked Dex to look up all of the different branches and if they hit the recruitment numbers. And we were looking and just talking about this new generation, this generation right now. The first generation to be raised on cell phones and tablets. The first generation to basically be raised to hate their own country. If we're trying to recruit, who are we recruiting? And we talked about how they do recruiting. They go to basically the states with folks that have a lot of family that are already in the military. They go to very, very kind of honeypot areas where they know that these people are totally pro-military, but they don't really look outside of that. And because of it, they have not been able to hit their recruitment numbers 2 years in a row. At least the Army hasn't, and other branches haven't as well. And that's not good. And if you look at how many people are actually staying, how many people are making careers, our military numbers are not where they need to be. They have very strict standards, and they're about to drop a bunch of those to actually get a bunch more people in. So that's why yesterday's show was you will be drafted. And the reason why we said that is because if you look at what's going on right now, they're going to have to. And it's kind of sad. The people that are in the age range, I guess the older ones might be okay, but man, I personally don't have much faith in the Gen Z. And, call me the old guy in the yard saying, get off my lawn, but we don't know the effects of what kids are going to be like. The 20-year-olds now that grew up on tablets and cell phones and have no attention span whatsoever, that didn't play outside. I don't know if these kids are going to be okay. And that should be a genuine concern. But to add to that, the U.S. Navy appointed active duty queen in diversity drive to boost sinking recruitment. We just talked about this, how even people have been kind of making fun of the videos that we've been doing, have been focusing on, we want everybody and everybody needs to be happy, whereas some of the other countries are basically doing like a 4-minute Sylvester Stallone movie. Which one is going to get, more traction, right? Dex, this is interesting choice, to say the least.
It certainly is. Harpy Daniels, as the screen name or stage name goes. This is, we're just talking about like how much struggle the military has in recruitment yesterday. And then they come out today and say, hey, by the way, look at what we did. We were doing this to help increase recruitment. And, I question, does this help me want to join the Navy if I was a young person? I don't know. I don't think so. And I think there's a lot of people that don't feel that way. And I think that this is, if anything, it's targeting a very small audience. And I don't know that makes a lot of sense when you're trying to recruit from a large pool of people and incentivize them to come into a very dangerous and but rewarding and fulfilling career in the military. It's not something that you put on makeup and do dances around. It's something you put on face paint to hide yourself, camo, and you carry a big bang and you go off and risk your life for the freedom of others. And I find it like this just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like somebody got this one screwed up. I
think they waited until the Screenwriters Guild had their strike to do this, because think about the SNL episodes on this. Think about the South Park episodes. Think about whatever other show has writers that are live and doing this stuff. This sounds like a joke. And if you speak up on this kind of stuff, you're called names. But this should just be a general concern. I don't understand why, if you question a decision like this, that you need to be called something. You wouldn't be called something 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It's not to have anything against that. It's like, what you're going for, a 2%, 1% of the population. That's not the most efficient way to grab people. I think that they should look more at, like the general said in a piece I just pulled up and researched yesterday. Several of the generals are saying that they should look more at women and areas with women that could join. Women are capable of doing this stuff. Women are capable of running tech. Women are capable of running our gear and driving a tank. I do think women can be good soldiers. I know some good women soldiers. They're tough as nails. But as far as this goes, what is what we wear? I just don't know. I guess I'm kind of in. I'm not understanding. It's a very small sect that they're trying to appeal to. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and we just saw the sales tank on Anheuser-Busch across the board, across all their products, for a marketing tactic like this that goes totally against the heart of their community, like their buyers, right? And so when you sort of think about who are the people you're trying to recruit, like, is this the right way from a marketing point of view or a publicity point of view. It absolutely makes no sense to me. And again, I'm not judging what the person wants to do in their free time. That's perfectly okay. It's just as an ambassador or marketing ploy to increase recruitment, it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
So just to briefly I have problems with what's going on today as far as under 18. Over 18, if somebody wants to, split their tongue in two and be a lizard, go ahead. Do whatever you want. We should have the freedom to do and say what we want within limits that don't affect others. As far as if I have to look at something, that's fine. That's their right to do. So as far as they want to do this, I just think it's a crazy decision to go down this road. And especially like what Dexter said, it's like the core people, this is going to be something that causes a big stir. And I don't see people saying that the publicity from this, because people are going to be moaning and groaning about it, is that really going to bring people to go, I'm going to join them? I don't think so. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. What do they know that we don't? Are insurance companies preparing for war? So I'm going to play. Do we have a screenshot, or maybe I should just? I think that I can probably skip through. So this was Alaska Prepper, and I talked to him earlier today, and he let me know about this video. And the thing is right away, most people will say, well, there's been a war clause in these insurance policies. But as you can see, even on this thumbnail, it says war and cyber war exclusion. So they're they're actually clarifying, and it may be because they may know something that we don't. So
Hello, YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So I put this video out yesterday to my Patreons and members, and it has to do about insurance policies and what they are doing now, at least in the case of one of our community members, which is amending their policy to include a war clause. One of our Patreons stated that this is usually common practice. I've never heard of it, right? So I was like, well, this is common practice, then this video is not really going to be valuable to anyone. But then I started to think, I was like, well, I've never heard of it. I'm 51 years old. Maybe I'm just naive. Maybe I'm just not very well educated. You can fill in the blanks. But if I haven't heard of it, maybe a lot of other people have not either. I'm going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and enjoy the video if you like. And before we start, I want to say thank you very much to the sponsor of this video, which is Genesis Gold Group. What do insurance companies know that we don't know as the citizenry of at least the United States? And before I forget to ask, if any of you out there have received notices or letters like this from your insurance companies, please forward it to me. I will not share any of your information. When I read to you this notice that one of our community members got, by the way, it's for a business that this person owns. Okay, so it's not like for their home or their car, but it's for their business. But still, it leads me to think that the insurance companies know something that we don't know. And I'm going to show you everything on the letter, but I'm going to black out anything whatsoever that would in any way point a finger to this gentleman's location or who he is. So take a look at this, because this is very disturbing, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say that we need to pray. All right, we need to pray that there is a better outcome in what's going on geopolitically around the world than war, right? Than a kinetic war, or a war that would result in the deaths of many. Unfortunately, and I know I'm blabbing here, but it's my style. Unfortunately, I've been talking about this for a while, that it's inevitable, that it's a cycle that we are going through. And it's inevitable, and it is the birth pain that occurs before the birth of a new era. And just look at history, and that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I've often said that you need to be prepared, because it's going to be a lot tougher between now and the spring. Okay? Right now we are going through the winter portion of this human cycle. And before we can get to the spring portion, i.e. the first turning, it's going to get a lot tougher, and a lot of people will suffer. So that's why you need to be prepared. But enough of that. Let's take a look at this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read this verbatim, but if you hear me If you hear that I get blanked out when I'm talking, that way I don't have to try to think of, oh, should I say this? Should I say that? I can just go ahead and edit it out. I'm just going to silence the portions that I can't say. But this letter here is from the group Mutual Insurance Company, right? And I'm not going to say where they're from, but as you can see here, I blacked out the name and the address of the person who received it, but I did leave the date in which they received it, which was April 24th of this year, 2023. And of course, the policy number is blacked out, but this is policyholder notice. Insurance companies know usually a lot more than what we, the citizenry, know. So what do they know about us going to war? This notice does not form a part of your insurance contract, meaning that this is just a notice and that the insurance contract that they currently have still stands until its expiry date, right? No coverage is provided by this notice, nor can it be construed to replace any provisions of your current policy. If there is any conflict between this notice and the policy, the provisions of the policy shall prevail, meaning that the policy that they currently have, that they've already paid their premium for, is number one, all right? And that this notice is just telling them something that's going to be added on to their next policy should they want to go ahead and purchase their policy at the end of the expiration date of this current policy. I hope that makes sense. Here they say, they warn them.
Basically, they're adding one thing to a very long time insurance policy, and they're adding it right now in 2023.
Please read your policy, including the endorsements attached to your policy. This notice provides information concerning the following new endorsement. So this is going to be a new endorsement, all right, that they're giving you a heads up on for your new policy after your old one expires on the 5th of July, all right? Or the renewal policy is on the 5th of July, which means that the old one would expire on the 4th of July of this year, 2023. War and cyber war exclusion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, war and cyber war exclusion. The endorsement adds an exclusion for any claim for any loss, damage, cost, or expense. A, directly or indirectly caused by resulting from or in connection with any war, regardless of any other cause or event contributing concurrently or in any other sequence to the loss. Which means, all right, I'm going to put it in blunt terms, which means that if this person's business gets hit by a mortar shell, it's not covered.
And I bet you there's going to be a lot. And then they go through the cyber. You guys need to go over and watch. And if you want to, this is the teaser. So you go over and support our friend Alaska. Go over to marfooglenews.com/friend and you can go finish that video. It has another 4 minutes left. So he goes over some really important stuff. So make sure after this video, you go over and support him and subscribe. He just hit a really big milestone of 200,000 subscribers and he deserves it. He's a awesome guy that supports the community. He's just always on and off camera. He's the same person. He cares about people. He really is just a genuinely awesome person. Maybe they just build them differently in Alaska. I don't know. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just I want to say that this type of action that's happening, if it's starting to happen in a lot of places, it's really important to pay attention to. So, the insurance companies pay actuarians and others a lot of money to predict the future, so to speak, or at least look at the risks that are involved in things. When the event happened in September back in 2001, after that, they started to put the T clauses in. Okay. They've always, like he said in the beginning, they've always had a war clause in there, but now that they're updating it for a reason. Okay. And it's because they're expecting something. They're expecting a potential event to happen, and they want to make sure that they're not, paying out on something that they can't control, or they're only paying out on the things that they're backed financially to cover, like, an act of God versus, an act of conflict. But the fact that they're adding these new clauses in should be alarming. We should be paying attention and understand what are the clauses, what is it they're looking for. In this particular case, it's cyber in addition to conflict. But that should be telling that something's coming. And I don't know what all the details are in this clause, but I suspect it's because it's not just a cyber thing. They're looking at a bigger thing coming down the pike, so to speak, and they're expecting to make sure that they're covering their own butts because they don't want to be holding the bag on all of these claims.
And again, they're adding specifically cyber. This is another thing. This isn't why I believe cyber is the most likely. Not even the 93%, of the world's top experts, the most elite, because they could have handpicked those guys to put out that thing, right? But those are. If you look at some of the names on that list, these are the people that run the planet, that are at the very top of the IT sections of all of the major companies. So they could be in somebody's pocket and put that out for whatever reason. But why would they put that out? Why would they say it's a 93% chance that it's a high probability in the next 2 years we will have a catastrophic cyber event? We're in a conflict with Vlad and all of this. And even if you think that Vlad and JB are high-fiving behind closed doors, if there's an event that it allows them to say, here's the huge problem, here's the huge shutdown, I guess it would be like kind of saying that you don't believe that they would hurt people to get something changed, right? These are the same people that literally on a daily basis make decisions to take innocent lives. And by that, I mean governments take innocent lives every day to protect something or for the greater good. In their minds and in the government, they believe that this, and it could be, in some of these cases, it could be the lives of few for the lives of many. But in this case, if they want to bring in a change, they know that human beings and us, we are not going to change willingly if it's something that does not go with the flow. If it's something that we don't want to do, or if we have to make a positive change for ourselves, but it's going to hurt, most people aren't going to do it. If you need to do something, say you're at home and you hurt something, and say you're going to lose your whole hand if you don't, chop your finger off. Some people will chop their finger off, but most people won't. They'll sit there and they might even bleed out because they can't do what's necessary. Or if there was a zombie virus, I bet you most people wouldn't chop off their arm like they do in the movies. I bet you most people would sit there and slowly perish because there's no way they're going to chop off their own arm to do it. But this is the thing. This is how they probably word it to these people at the very top that are still not at the top. So, I mean, this is something that the cyber stuff, it's from SolarWinds. It's from all of the stuff that is piling up. And once something like this happens, then they're able to come in with the solution. Then they're able to come in with the fix. Please pay attention, people. This is getting absolutely serious. You can only say it so many different ways, and I hope I'm reaching somebody new on this. So I know our people, and I think that people do come complacent. I think even the Foogle fam, everybody, you guys in the Foogle fam, like you've been so desensitized to this stuff that maybe it doesn't have any kind of real value that even shocks you anymore. But you really do need to have some sort of sense of urgency at this point because we are getting closer. And it's more of a, I mean, it's so close you can smell it. That's what I've been saying lately because it is. It is something that is so very obvious that's going to happen. And it might be on a scale of months. I don't think it will be on a scale of years. That's my personal opinion. I think it's going to be this year that we see major change. If not, by 2025, in the next 2 years, we know that there's goals and things that they are going to hit. And now if you look at where we are at with AI, I mean, there's going to be major changes in our life regardless of a disaster. So please get your stuff in order. Yeah, great points, Dex. And then something to break up the craziness, Musk threatens to reassign NPR's Twitter handle in ongoing feud. So I did want to make sure that we take a breath for a second. This is actually kind of funny. NPR didn't want to be government funded or whatever, so they said that they're backing out of Twitter. Well, Elon Musk is basically saying, well, if you're not going to be on Twitter, then I'm going to give your handle to somebody who is on Twitter. And if they do reassign this, then NPR will have to come back as, NGR or something, National Government Radio or something. I don't know, but they're going to lose their handle, or at least that's the joke that Elon is saying. He says Elon Musk, escalating his battle with media companies, suggested he may strip NPR of its Twitter handle because it had stopped tweeting. It said the billionaire said in a series of emails Tuesday that he might transfer the NPR handle, which has remained dormant for weeks, to another company. NPR reported Twitter, which has fired its communications team, did not specifically respond to emailed requests for comment. NPR quit Twitter last month after Musk stirred controversy by labeling its account state-affiliated media, along with those of the BBC, PBS, and other publicly funded organizations. NPR Chief Executive Officer Jan Lansing said that he lost faith with decision-making at Twitter following abrupt and seemingly arbitrary policy changes at the company. Now, I know not everybody's on board with Elon. It is hard not to support some of the things that he's doing, and people could be right that he's secretly having all of us kind of go, he's the guy to follow, he's the hero that's saving all this stuff to draw us in and then grab us for something else. But there are a lot of things that it's just absolutely impossible to say I don't support that, like the things that he's been doing with Twitter and the things he's been doing against these companies. The amount of hate he gets, it's hard to believe that he's not their actual enemy, because he's getting attacked from every angle. It's hard for me not being, not supporting the underdog. But I do understand, and I'm keeping an open mind about all of the bad things that he could be too. But it's hard not to root for somebody who is just giving the middle finger to all these people. And you can tell he's giving the middle finger because he's getting the middle finger back in every which way. And they're doing it in the most petty ways. They find anything and everything they can. I mean, their humor is just gone. But some of the humor, when you subtract anything that could be offensive, is just not funny anymore. Like I tweeted out, The Onion is doing these like some of the stupidest articles, trying to make you laugh, basically saying, showing a picture of Elon at the office saying, Elon's hiding and sleeping on his couch at Twitter, and he's avoiding the knocks from his landlord, because they're demanding rent. It's like, that's the whole joke. Like he's hiding in his office and the landlord's knocking on the door. Like that's the joke. That's what happens when you take free speech out of humor and you're not allowed to like press it, and everybody's offended by everything. The other one was an article that said, please like me, basically making fun of the fact that he's all about himself, right? And this isn't even regarding Elon. This is regarding like the humor and the stuff that's going on right now. Andrew Schultz put it in a good way. He goes, if you have a state without freedom of speech, you get like the Russian humor, where literally a joke to them is a Russian doll, where it's like, oh, you open up doll and smaller doll's inside. Oh, and look, you open up a smaller doll and another smaller doll is inside. Ha 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 ha. That's what happens to humor and they think that's funny. That's what happens to humor when you don't have free speech. You just don't have humor anymore. Comedians all over the world are now feeling it, and if they don't admit it, then they're lying. Basically, people are afraid to tell jokes. There's no such thing anymore. Freedom of speech is dying. So I hope he sticks it to all of these companies that have also been the same companies like NPR, BBC, and all of these that have been a part of this system that has been clamping down on any real journalism and any real freedom of speech. So that's my view on it. And again, I've been telling a lot more of my real views, and I don't want to be on this side or that side. But I will be on the side that I believe is true. And for right now, I think that the Twitter thing, I hope, is heading somewhere good. But I also see the possibility that it turns into X this and X that, and the whole system of demonic tracking and tracing. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Dex, it's just kind of funny. I mean, to reassign the handle, especially if he gave it to some like really gross NPR, because there's probably 50 other NPRs out there.
When asked, he said National Pumpkin Radio. I don't know who that is. Probably made up, but that was his response.
I bet there's probably one like that, right? Well, we'll see. And then Dex, can you the Tilly Willies from last night? Do you want to read the Rumble ones and I'll read the YouTube ones? these are people that stuck around for the whole show last night. Basically went until the very end and listened to my call out. Let's see here.
Yeah, I got the Rumble. It's Red Ghostface, Razadime, Wildflower Farm, and Regional Lady 383.
That is freaking awesome. Let's see here. And on YouTube, thank you, Cheryl S., Jennifer Mills, MK Sunmar, Ronald DeHart, VB Lisa, Wandering Dave, Travis Hartfield, Kim Canadian, Jorge Gonzalez, Arizona Raven, Homestead Prepper, Teresa Candice, Terry Welburn, John Guerra, Mike S., Keena P., Gary Ratier, Anna in the Not Z. Let's see here. Jim, Schoolcraft, James Murphy, Karen, AK, Patriot Grandma, Bambi, Seek Him Always, Horvor Core, and then 2A Carrier, Layla Ray, Diane Polk, Less Weird. That is awesome. Somebody actually did Less Weird. And Edward Walker, Kodiak Sedlock, Jay's Gaming World, Panda Santi, Sean Falls, Avert, Glenn, Andrew, Mark, Teresa, Stephen D., and William McKee, That Vermonter, Tosha, Prep Mom, April Powers, Mary R., Terry, Tammy Johnson, Jimmy, Jimbo, SH, Purple Passion, Betty Demers, we're almost done here, Human Male, Ruth Ring, Marlo, Tim EH, Mark Troost, Prepared Grunt, and Require and Velo. I said I would read everybody who did it, and I basically, at the very last end of the 2-hour show, I said, if these people type this in, I will read it, and I did. So thank you guys, and that's really a thank you for sticking around to the end and actually watching the entire show. Like that, we put a lot of time and effort into it, so for you guys to do that, that just shows me the fam is right behind me. So thank you guys. Love you, and love you. Let's see here. Let's go to the... before we go to the next one, I do want to remind you, make sure right now there is one of the coolest things out there right now, which is the marfooglenews.com/prep and all of the crazy stuff that you get with our link. It's always changing up, so you definitely want to go check for the latest thing. If you're watching a replay, you definitely want to check at what is going on right now. Dex, do we know I know that they're not doing the Alexa Pure now. What do we know what the actual gift with purchase is on this now?
It's over $200 and around $200 worth of survival gear. So it's a lot of stuff, from additional food supplies to weather radios, etc. It's like an entire package.
Yeah, so this is one of the coolest out of all the things like this. Sometimes they do $200 off. That was actually the highest they did. They've done $100 off. They've done an Alexa Pure. I think the Alexa Pure is one of the most useful things. And then this one, it comes with basically a survival kit. So along with 3 months of survival food, which this is one of the most affordable ways to do it, there are all sorts of great competitors in this zone. But as far as this one, the reason I do think that this is good for many in our audience is it is one of the most affordable. It is one of the lowest price options. And it also, they always have a great deal with our code. So you will get $200 worth of free gear and different things that will go into your arsenal. So sometimes they include gadgets, they include all sorts of other things. So it's more of a kit. So on top of the 3 months of food, which is again Mylar sealed in bags and then double sealed into buckets and will last for 25 plus years. So it'll be good until 2052. You'll also get a whole bunch of survival gear with that. So right now, that is the deal. If you are somebody who likes getting a whole bunch of little free things, then this would be the package to go for. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. It helps support our channel. We're independent. We are literally on our own. I saw somebody say, they're commercialized now. They have affiliates and ads. We're on our own. I hope that you guys are rooting for us because we don't have any overlords. We don't have a multi-channel network. We're completely on our own. So thank you guys. With this kind of stuff, then we can support ourselves without the help of anything else or anyone else. So thank you guys for supporting. At the same time, you guys are getting something that will make your life easier, make it more convenient during a disaster, or even save your life. in the case, I believe, like the solar generators, that's going to save lives, especially for some. And then also it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. As far as this goes, this is food. This is the life bread. This is what will get you through any kind of disaster. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. MarfoogleNews.com/prep. Thank you guys in advance for going over and supporting. All right, and then Dex, they are threatening nuclear retaliation after accusing UKR of trying to assassinate Putin with a drone strike on the Kremlin. If you've seen the video, it almost looks fake, but it apparently happened, and who knows who did it.
That's correct. So apparently this event took place at one of the buildings, which does house it houses a lot of things because there are large buildings there, but apparently it houses the apartment in which Vlad regularly stays in when he's at the Kremlin. So that's why they're calling it a potential attack against him personally. And there were a couple of objects. Now, the response and the rhetoric coming back, this is coming from the parliament. The speaker of the parliament sort of seemed to demand as they're saying in the media, demanding a nuclear response to UKR. I think his quote was not exactly that. And of course, it's also, you're having to go through translation. But nonetheless, everyone is sort of inferring that what he meant was it's time to take the next step. Like this is taking it beyond. This is one of those red lines, I guess, that they actually do want to stand up to. It'll be interesting to see what the response is, because this can't go without a response. I mean, at the end of the day, if this happened to in DC here, like, would we just sit back and do nothing? I mean, it's one thing if it was an individualized event, but if it's a nation doing it to us that we're in the midst of conflict with, that would be it would absolutely warrant a response. What the response is, we'll have to sort of wait and see, and how severe it is, we'll have to wait and see. But these kind of statements coming out immediately. Now, a lot of people are looking at this and saying, hey, when you watch the video, it's kind of like, I guess it's a drone or it's something flying through there, but it really wasn't that big as far as like the flash you see. The other thing that doesn't make a lot of sense is they have very, very intricate capabilities around the Kremlin, just like we do around DC, to prevent things that are coming in the air. They also have rules that I think was stated that they don't bring down something over the top of buildings like that. So if it is there, once it gets to a certain point, they don't take it down for fear of it coming down onto the building. There's certain, I guess, engagement rules that they have, and none of that seems to line up with what people saw visually. What they saw was this object flying through, coming up to the flag at the top of the dome on that building, and then exploding in the air. And to me, the explosion looked like a firework, like one of those noise bang fireworks, not one of those big, giant, beautiful fireworks.
The video showed the people walking up the stairs, but apparently that was the second drone, right? Have we confirmed that?
Well, I haven't actually confirmed that, but I've heard that from others, like people saying that on Twitter, like, yeah, those people were there because what you're seeing is the second one, and they were probably there looking for the first one, or dealing with a potential fallout or fire from the first one. But we'll watch the video. We've got it. You can see if you got enough detail. If not, go look at it online and sort of zoom in, and you can sort of see those people walking up the dome. It's kind of revealing.
Okay, so let me put this on real quick. So, as you can see, it almost looks like a bird, but then it goes boom, and the way that it overly is smoky, it's almost like you don't even see the flag go whoosh, right? This would have some sort of like a blast zone, like whoosh, some sort of kinetic impact from the sheer blast of it, right? You do see two gentlemen up on the side of this thing, and there's actually a walkway up it, which I don't know if that walkway is always there. There could have been some sort of ceremony before Victory Day where they have this special staircase up there where they go, and obviously the staircase is up there because they raise and lower different flags, I assume, right? But I mean, imagine if this happened to our Capitol building. If something like this happened and it went boom, But do you see what I mean about the smoke cloud? It almost seems like something like one of those magicians, like poof, it's just,
That's,
you know what I mean?
Adam, that's what I was describing when I thought of it. When you go to a fireworks show, there's all these big, beautiful fireworks, but then there's those loud ones that don't really have anything with them, right? It's just a little tiny flash, but it's really there to make noise, to make a big concussion sound. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like something like that. Nothing very strong, nothing very big, more just like that small, focused, cloudy boom you see at a fireworks show from the noise makers.
I want to show you something. This is what it reminds me of. Do you remember the night court guy? If somebody can name his name, Dex, don't name it, because I bet you were a night court guy. Do you guys remember the show Night Court? Who was the? Oh, I think I remembered his name. Starts with an H. Who knows the main judge off of Night Court? What was his name? I remembered his name, but he had this line of magic tricks. And let's see here. I don't know if they have a video of it, but these flaming wallets. Do you guys know what I mean? And these flaming wallets work by you put a specific pyro thing in there. You open it and it goes poof, and it makes a big flame, but then it goes right out. I don't know what they call, if it's gunpowder or what, but it makes a big flame, but it's pretty safe. It just goes whoosh. That's what it looks like. Just visually, that's what this thing looks like when you look at the boom. But does that matter as far as now they're saying that this is now an excuse for a retaliation strike? Now, afterwards, they're saying that it was probably a possibly a pro-UKR, anti-Russian, Russian group inside of Vlad's country. That could possibly explain why maybe the drone was lifted off from 30 feet away and these guys got caught or something like that, but I don't know. Or it's a Fantastic Freddy to be able to attack. Whatever it is, I think that this is really serious. The amount of chatter and the amount of messages we got on this, I know we get stuff every time something happens. We get emails from all sorts of folks, but a very specific circle of people are very concerned about this. And that's why I said, I'm just done kind of, I guess I'm going to speak my mind. I think that people should really, really get prepped now. And I don't say that lightly. I've, for 5 years, have been doing this, and I've shown you the slow kind of steps up to this. And I think we are finally there. And I'm not a genius, but with all of the folks that are sending us messages and all of the folks that have good information, much better than mine, they are stating that this is something really serious and that this is all part of it. And it just escalated a whole lot. And we knew it was going to. A couple days ago, we said that there was probably going to be an event that allows them to then respond to UKR. And this certainly looks like something that could be used as that. And if not, this is the second. Just about a week ago, there was another event where supposedly he was taken out. When you get into where the leaders are being attempted on twice or three times in a couple weeks, that's where if that leader's really a leader and he's really doing this stuff, they are going to start kicking it up. They're going to kick this up a notch if this was a failed attempt. But I don't know. That video looks like Fantastic Freddy because, man, it does not look that crazy. And I don't know what the sound is, probably from somebody recording a cell phone, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, now Zelensky is categorically denying it. So they're saying that they're not a part of it. So they're denying that they had any involvement in this attack. It says that Vladimir Zelensky on Wednesday denied Moscow's claims that had attempted to take out Vlad, which they would. It says, we did not attack Vlad. We leave it to the tribunal. We fight on our territory. We are defending our villages and cities. But yet they are saying that they're going to do an offensive into what is now Russia. And there have been things that have gone down in Vlad's territory. There's also been, they're digging trenches far into Russian territory. So I don't know what to believe here, but you got to take everything with a grain of salt. And it says that last night, the Kiev regime made an attempt to strike with unmanned aerial vehicles on the Kremlin residence of the president of the Russian Federation. The state-run TASS news agency quoted the Kremlin as saying in a statement, the alleged drone strike came as UKR prepares to launch a significant counteroffensive against Russian forces 14 months into the invasion. It also follows a string of reported drone strikes and sabotage incidents inside Russia in the lead up to May 9th, when Russia celebrates the Soviet victory in WW2 with a massive military parade in Red Square, which we'll talk about here in a second. Parts of it are being canceled in certain areas. Now, I also want to point out that, remember, there were UKR officials that say, oh, they'll be hit, but it won't be by us. And back then, we all said, wait, what are they talking about? Are they meaning that NATO will be doing it? Or somebody else, or it was, theorized that it could be a group inside their country, like sleeper cells from UKR, or somebody else, 3-letter agencies, who knows? Dex, so they're denying it. So to the world, if Vlad says this is why we're going to attack, none of the Western countries are going to validate it and say that it was okay to do. They're, of course, going to say it's illegal and they shouldn't have responded to that because it wasn't them in the first place.
Well, they've always denied. They deny everything. That's been their standard operating procedure with any of these events that have happened since the beginning of the conflict. They actually deny. Now, they have admitted after the fact when they get called out, like when it gets proven or it gets shown, or the West, points and tells them, hey, you shouldn't have done that, or you should change how you're doing something. But it's their default answer is going to be to deny this. Given the fact that they're in the midst this month of this quote unquote offensive, it's certainly it could be either way. I mean, it could be that they're doing an offensive maneuver. It could be that they had nothing to do with it, or it could be that it was some smaller group that was doing their own thing because they were against what's going on in Russia. Who knows?
And here's the bigger part. So UKR does not attack the Kremlin because, firstly, it does not solve any military aims, UKR presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak said, suggesting that the attack had been put on by Vlad. And it says, quote, such state reports by Russia should be considered solely as an attempt to prepare for a large-scale T attack on UKR. So this could be some 4D chess stuff where they did it to do this and to do that, whatever else it might be. Who do you believe? And what's crazy is it's like, if you don't believe UKR, you're supposedly, in bed with whatever, but with Russia. But at this point, we know that there's lots of Ganda. So just to believe the objective truth or try to find it, you're called names. To be honest, I don't know in this case. This is really, I do know that the overall thing is that we should all be looking at our stocks and seeing what's going on and getting our stuff in line, because this is getting closer. We're seeing this happen in slow-mo, and this is over a bigger time period. People think that everything happens just right now. It doesn't. It's been going on for years and years and years, all the way back to when I said Theresa May was changing over from the people in the sand over to Russia and China. This has been going on for years and years and years, where we switched from insurgents to our adversaries, right? This has all been happening for years and years and years. And now we're right up to the precipice of something massive. So let me know what you think. And then Putin ally claims U.S. wants to take over Russia in case Yellowstone volcano erupts. What? Before we go to that, thank you over on D Live. Thank you, Zippy Moons, for yet another Ninja Genie. Says beep beep, drive by with your neighborhood badger. Hey, thank you, Zippy Moons. I appreciate that. And thank you for the ice creams as well. And everybody else, Espiritu and Skyhouse, that are supporting over on D Live. Thank you, Natsak909. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Says, I just shared my video on your website. Well, okay. We will check over on Play My Video. Great. We will try to, we'll look at that and try to get it in. Dex, go ahead.
It's in screener.
Yeah, can we show it today? Is it something?
Yeah, it's in screener. I put it in there for you.
Okay. So 909, we'll be playing that here in a second. Thank you for submitting it. And then JR Pale Horse says, hello, old school fam, my construction crew listening to replay every morning. Everyone says live, the fam love the Pale Horse. That's awesome. Thank you, JR Pale Horse. And you've been here for a really long time, so thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for everybody else that watches the replay. Again, thank you. Zen1AZ says, much love, Foogle fam. Thanks, Adam, Dex, and Mods. NS909, I have a video of a mile-long train of tanks I took last week in Palm Springs. I have never seen that before. Youper, thank you, Nutsec909. We will show that. And then Youper Viking, thank you for your support. Ryan B. Chanel Beveliqua. Just wanted to give you an update. I do believe I found what you sent, so thank you. The email. And then Linda Sullivan. And then Steve, I just saw your email today about the info. Very scary, I agree. And I will keep that to myself. Thank you. And then, yeah, Yellowstone. This is nuts. It says one of Vladimir Putin's closest allies says that the United States is plotting to take over Russia in order to save the U.S. establishment from an apocalyptic volcano eruption he expects to happen in Wyoming. It says Nikolai Patrushev. This is a very familiar name. You've heard it all over the place. We've covered a bunch of stories with this. Chairman of Russia's Security Council and former head of the security agency FSB. I mean, this is the equivalent of, CIA, so take it with a huge cup of salt, is known for spinning theories that reportedly fed into the president's thinking, leading to the disastrous invasion of UKR, among other things. In an interview for the Izvestia newspaper on Wednesday, the 71-year-old former KGB officer reiterated his previous claim that Russia stands in the way of the West that is trying to build its own world order. Prompted by the interviewer about a recent volcano eruption in Russia's Far East, Mr. Patrushev cited alleged research suggesting that the Yellowstone megavolcano in Wyoming might erupt soon, calling an unprecedented catastrophe that could mean the death of all living creatures in North America is inevitable. So yes, you can look at this, and judging from where it came from, you could totally write this off. What freaks me out is that NASA has been doing this plan, and I'll show you. I'll pull this up real quick. This is nuts. Let's see here. Let's go to DuckDuck. Look at this plan. And if you didn't know about this, we covered this years ago. NASA's plans to save Yellowstone. Yeah, so I wonder if this is this the thing that shows it? Yeah. This is the plan to save Yellowstone from the super volcano, and not only that, to generate power from it. Oh, gosh dang it! I did it on the Oogle. I swear it switches back to. You know why I hate Google more than just that is that they always put the image on the side, so you can't show it like that. Let's see. Let's this. And yeah, check this out. This is their plan to save. So and this is something that they've been working on, and scientists are supposedly going to somehow pump cold water in and then take the hot water, or the thousands of degrees, and then turn that into power and turn it into the largest, power plant in the world, or the most powerful. It's going to pump out so much power it could power America or whatever. And it shows earthquakes, resurgent domes, shallow hot water reservoirs, gigantic magma, partial melt, basalt magma intrusion zone, all of this, right? This is so crazy because how big Yellowstone is. People don't realize when you're standing in Yellowstone, you are in the volcano. The whole thing is the volcano, and it will just bust through. What's crazy to me as well is how overdue we are for the Cascadia subduction zone. Cascadia, there's 21 states preparing for this, and I don't think that they're just preparing for Cascadia. When you have the entire North Atlantic plate shift 45 feet, that very well can trigger this. And before, they didn't think that this could happen. But now all the scientists are agreed that a large earthquake, especially some of the largest, like the Cascadia subduction zone or any of the subduction zones in general, like Japan or the Boxing Day, Boxing Day tsunami, they can trigger not only earthquakes on the other side of the world, but they can also trigger volcanoes. It makes sense. If you shake enough ground and something nearby is about to blow, boom, it could go. So imagine if, and this is how the movie How It Ends, that actually was kind of the plot to that movie, which some say predicts what's going to happen. Now, on the East Coast, they said, the power grid went out. But why would it go out if an event happened on the West Coast? What happened in that movie was the Cascadia went, and it knocked out at least enough of the grid to knock out all the rest. And in that movie, they kind of make reference to something happening with the sun. And they're saying that in that movie, here's how I took it, is the solar activity during the peak solar cycle 25 triggered Cascadia, which then also triggered some sort of grid down event. And then Cascadia ended up triggering Yellowstone. And Yellowstone goes off in the very end. So what's so crazy is that this is fiction, right? But it's very thin, blurry line between fiction and this real stuff that they're doing. So as far as the Yellowstone, you could totally poo-poo what he's saying, totally off of the charts, but just hypothetically, I'm sure there's some of you that in the back of your mind, you're like, what if that's true? It would, if it was true, just say hypothetically it was true, it would actually make things make sense. It would fit a puzzle piece in that would be like, oh, maybe that's why everything is happening like it is. Maybe that's why Yellowstone goes off, by the way, our world is screwed. Like it's an apocalypse event. It will cover the world with a smog that will cover the world, and we won't be able to plant things. We won't have food. Bees will die off, and then the whole structure of humanity will be gone. At least for us, it will most likely, and maybe that's why they're going to Mars. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's why they're trying to get off the planet, or they claim to. Maybe that's why the Boring Company is digging tunnels. Maybe that's why we've been having mysterious booms for years and years and years. Or the mysterious booms are from this. Something is going on under these states. Maybe something is breaking and it's moving. They're in FSB, so maybe they did get some information. Or they're totally full of it, and this is just a total joke to freak people out. It's up to you. What do you guys think? Do you think there's any truth to it? Dex, it's such a crazy idea to even think about, but it's kind of scary if you think about it, if you even give it any credence at all.
Look, like you said, our scientific community says it's an issue. It's going to happen some point. So if you think it's going to happen and it's going to basically, take out North America, then what would be the plan? Well, the plan would be to go somewhere else. So what he's saying isn't illogical. It's just, it just feels absurd given the scenario. It's sort of like, Russia's taking UKR, but America wants Siberia because we're worried about, our volcano going off. So, factually it all lines up, but at the same time, it's almost absurd.
This is from Futurism. There's tons of articles. I covered this 3 years ago. That's crazy. And It's just it's wild to even think about, and because of the scale of it, we as humans cannot wrap our heads around it. We also have something that is built into our brains naturally that we don't want to think about death. We don't think about it up until the very last second of our life. We think, oh, it's not going to hit us, right? Nobody thinks they're going to die. Well, you know what I mean. And even when you do, it's just like you think somehow you're going to dodge death. It's built into our brain for a reason. Otherwise, we'd be stressing about dying every day, which some people do. Once you get over it, once you are accepting of it, then this stuff doesn't get as scary. It's more like then you're just trying to figure out how you are spiritually preparing for it. You spend your life learning and trying to pack in every moment. When you realize that you only live so long, and the older that I get, at least I can only speak for myself. My aunt said something that really stuck out to me, and she said she's not afraid of death. She's just realizing as she gets older, she realizes how much she doesn't know. Not saying, "Oh, I know everything. I know everything in the world," but she realizes how much she doesn't know. How much knowledge is out there that you won't learn, and how stupid you are in the grand sense of things. In your 70s, even 80s, you are so much wiser than you were when you're 20, but at the same time, you just have a little speck, a piece of dust of knowledge of the world and how much you don't know. So I think information is one of the best things to learn before you die, and it gives you the best kind of feeling just to know things and to really, I don't know, to live through so many different events. And I think that's why preppers prep. If they can get through these kind of events, then it's like a win. It's like a trophy throughout your life. All right. And then, yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And before we move on, one of the things you can protect yourself against, you can go through and get one at EMP Shield, is an EMP shield. This is a device that can protect you against not only an electromagnetic pulse, but it can also protect you against a CME, the natural kind, which is when we have another Carrington level event, because it will happen, you can actually get this on all of your cars, trucks, motorcycles, RVs, boats, generators, gas or solar in the case of the Flex 1500. You can put this on there and it will protect it. It will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your device, car, home, generators, ham radio, whatever you may be putting this on. It will end up grounding that before it's able to do that. This is also very awesome. If you get the home version, it will protect everything within 250 linear feet of where it is wired in. You want to get an electrician to do the home version, but the car version is super easy. You can do it in under 10 minutes by yourself. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be a mechanic. It's very, very easy. You could hire your lawn guy to do it. It's incredibly easy. If you don't have a lawn guy, you could hire your neighbor for $10. It's literally that easy of a project. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. And if you are the lawn guy, then just do it. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll get $50 off per device, and you'll be helping our channel at the same time. And a second train derailment in 2 days is reported in the Russian border area. So obviously, one is okay. Two is like, okay. The first one had an explosive on the track, supposedly. And the second one, they're reporting on Tuesday that an explosion derailed a freight train in the Russian region of Bryansk, which just happens to be the same region that they are canceling the Victory Day parade, which I believe we'll get to next. Oh no, maybe we put that in overflow. So yeah, this is actually the same area that they're canceling the Victory Day. Dex, do you want to go over this and the next with the fuel depot?
Yeah, certainly. So this is, the town in this particular case is less than 5 miles from the border of UKR. it had 20 train cars went off the rails. We don't know what was in it. They haven't said, but again, this is the second time, like back to back, that they've taken trains off the tracks with these explosives. So obviously they're pointing the finger at UKR. It's very likely it's them, or at least a supporter of them, or an anti-supporter of Vlad. Somebody's doing this that has ill intentions towards them. So for this to happen back to back, it's definitely looking like a trend and looking like a tactic being used. And the real question is what's on them, and what was on those trains, and is there something specific? Now, as far as the next one with Crimea, we keep talking about them, and as you guys probably remember, the beginning of the week, there was, over the weekend, was a massive strike. It was, at least as far as the appearance and the size, it was huge, and it was in I think it was Sevastopol. Now there's another one that's right by the bridge, and the bridge is you guys probably remember, we talked about it when it was originally damaged by an attack. But it's a big bridge that connects Crimea to the mainland, and there's a huge fuel depot that's now ablaze there. And they're obviously suggesting that is also something that is happening. So a lot of these things that we're seeing, whether it's this fuel depot, whether it's the two different trains, whether it's the drones happening, it may be that all of this fits into this whole notion that there's a counteroffensive happening. Although I would think it would be much bigger than that if you're going to see something of significance, but maybe it's just the start. So it's kind of we got to wait and see. At the same time, there's a lot of obvious actions that are happening right now that are definitely taking this conflict to the next level as far as tensions go between both sides, but more so against Russia. And I guess the big question is, what will the bear do? Is it going to react, and how is it going to react, or is it just going to, stay status quo?
Well, it's something we don't know until it happens. We'll make sure to update everybody on what ends up going down. Hopefully it's nothing that affects us directly, at least not yet. And then Dex, do you want to introduce this video? This is again Zag 909's video, and do you want to tell us what he said in the description?
Yeah, this is the one he chatted about, and I think it was that he saw a bunch of tanks and he'd never seen this before. We've seen a few of these before, but this is, obviously it's his video. It's very interesting.
Why I said whoa is these ones right here. If you're military, tell us what these ones are called with the I think these are lasers. The DEW lasers? Or are those just regular mounted 40 cal or 50 cals? I don't know what caliber, 30, 40, 50, whatever it is. But there's the new DEW ones, the directed energy ones. Some of these look, I don't know if that's just the camera angle, but they look kind of gray. Most of them are sand colored. Man. And that's in Palm Springs. Palm Springs. What in the heck is going on here? Of course, right after the meeting with Venezuela and Brazil and all of that. It's a couple 30-minute flights away from their country. And then this is nuts. IBM is to pause hiring for jobs that AI could do. Dex, I think you are better fitted for this as well. I kind of gave my opinion over on the Marfoogle News short. This is a terrifying thing, and people are really not grasping on how fast this is happening.
Well, yeah, this is going to catch on a lot quicker than everybody's expecting. This is a lot of what people have been warning about too. Like, what are the jobs that are going to be lost due to this AI technology? And here is a prime example of a company that is holding back on hiring and not going to hire jobs that it thinks AI can do. Now, mind you, I don't know that it means they're going to eliminate jobs. They haven't said that. They're just not going to add the new ones. But that's a pretty big company, and it has a lot of people that are employed there, and they probably have a lot of turnover. So when people leave, they got to hire new people, right? So I think they say roughly 7,800 jobs. But nonetheless, this is an exact example of what people are concerned about. And I think, it may be that this is their way of sort of hiding negative news. Like a lot of these companies in the tech sector have been laying off or have been cutting back or not hiring. And they, it comes out in the media that, it's obviously negativity for the tech sector and stocks go down, et cetera, et cetera. And this could be one way of them masking an excuse that's not necessarily they're having to cut back, but they're trying to make a wise decision on how they could leverage this technology to cut back. But irregardless, set it aside. It doesn't matter. The fact is that, this new technology is here and it is absolutely disrupting the way businesses are operating. And in some cases, it's allowing them to have a worker be able to be 4 or 5 times more productive. In other words, they don't have to have 4 people do that job. They can just have 1 person do that job. So that saves money. It doesn't mean the person's working 4 times harder. It just means they're not having to, cut wood with a steak knife. They're giving them a chainsaw so they can cut through the wood in a matter of seconds, as opposed to what used to take hours to do it. So, it does have negative effects in the sense that there are jobs that normally would have been created or that would have been replaced that might not be replaced anymore because of this. So kind of scary, very scary thought.
And people don't see, it's not a scary thing for people. They say, oh, AI is going to take some jobs. They're going to be typing it. This is, once thousands upon hundreds of thousands of jobs start going this way, our economy starts going, people won't have jobs. People are going to be desperate. People that would normally work these jobs are then going to be working other things. And if they are this qualified, guess what jobs they're going to be taking over anybody else is the people that are not qualified. The people that will not have any qualifications, they will even have a hard time even getting a minimum wage job because others will be taking those jobs. And they're destroying the middle class in every way. Every middle class job that and by the way, you used to be able to do a middle class job if you played your cards right. You would be able to buy a house, raise a family, everything else, and you could actually retire and have a somewhat okay life. That's a thing of the past. No, people are living with their parents until they're 40 now. I cannot believe that. Like and there's a huge chunk of people that are doing that now. And if you look at the housing market and everything else, that's what's happening. It's incredible. And then I'll switch these ones. And then they open a probe after 35 test positive for the CV following the conference. So you guys know this is touchy, right? But this agency, the Doug Carroll agency, 35 all of a sudden after a conference that was held in the Georgia Doug Carroll, 35 end up testing positive. Now most of you are going, that's BS. But think about that. If they are telling us, if we even find out about this, if they're saying this and now there's a probe into it, why? Was one of the people in that conference from a different floor that was in some of the craziest laboratories? By the way, this is the same building that contains, it is one of 2 buildings in the world that is authorized to carry all of the worst stuff in the world. The other one's in Russia. And mind you, right before C-19 came into play, that one blew up. That one had a mysterious fire and a part of the wall blow out the side right before all this started. And then a couple weeks before that, we mysteriously had, we had the Timothy Cunningham stuff, but we also ordered hundreds and if not millions of doses for a thing that had been eradicated since 1980. So it was very, 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 very odd, and that was one of the places that contained it. Now we have another weird event that's going down at this building. 35 that were at this conference all test positive for something. Is this the next variant or the next thing or the next thing that, Petri thing? Freaky. Dex, this is in your backyard.
I just want to clarify. This is the Cat Dog Cats conference, but it wasn't in their building. They had it in Atlanta at the Crown Plaza.
Oh, okay. That's even worse.
But why would an event like this with people from this profession all of a sudden have some sort of strange, outbreak at it? Enough that they warrants them sending out emails, warning people, and obviously making it into national news.
Well, you know why this is even worse too? Is if they were at a hotel with other people, and if this is something new, why would specifically these people that are employees here all have the same thing? You would assume that they brought it from that building, and then they just did a public conference with all sorts of other people staying at a hotel. You said it was at a hotel, right?
Yes, Crown Plaza.
Yeah, with a bunch of tourists. Probably business people that are going all over the country. I in the back of my head, I think that we might get another thing like this, and we just went through practice run. Very freaky, especially how it's set up at the beginning of the year. We were set up. Remember that tabletop exercise that said now it affects your brain, and this one is going to be far, far worse. Huge, numbers, all of this. And then just this year in January, they were saying that there were satellite images of the crematoriums were full and all of this. And something happened there. I forget what it was. Something happened. It was like was it the protests in China that kind of stopped up things? And then they opened everything up. Oh, and then they told everybody to travel for the Chinese New Year. And we were like, what? This is kind of weird. Something else happened though, like some sort of leak or some information came out, and we thought, But I was thinking in my head, like, maybe is this pushing off something that's going to pop out, or some information that is going to come out very soon? That's just freaky. What do you guys think is going on here? Anyone remember the years of release in Songbird the movie? Dorothy Tucker, there's so many different movies that make me think that the directors or somebody is just like, oh, can you give me that script? Oh, this is the script for The World. Oh, well, let's make a movie. This is going to be good. We'll laugh. We'll laugh about it. People won't know. Utopia. Dex, you still haven't watched the 2012 one, have you?
No, I started the other one, and which I thought was the one you had suggested. And,
well, I did.
I got about halfway through, and it was about as far as I made it.
It leaves you hanging on the 2020 version. The other one, but it does tell you at the very end of the season like what the goals are, and that's freaky because it makes you think. And that was back in 2012. So if you haven't seen Utopia and you're into that kind of stuff, go watch Utopia. The 2012 version, the 2021, definitely different. I watched the 2021 first and then watched the other one. I think the 2021 was actually better, but they left it hanging because it was canceled during CV, which is pretty crazy. The writer of that, some suggest that she may have been on certain islands with certain people when she was younger, but I could not confirm that, and I couldn't find anything even on like Reddit. So Let's see here. And then before we move on, if you want to save your butt during a blackout or any kind of power outage, if you have storms, if you have often power outages, then you're already looking at something like a generator. The reason we suggest solar is because it's unlimited power. It doesn't cost $5 a gallon, and it's silent. This can go stealth. You can have it inside your home. Nobody's going to know from 3 blocks away that you have a generator. And it is incredibly economical. Once you get the setup, you have unlimited power storing up, and then it can be stored there and used whenever you need it. So like in the case of my Flex 1500, I always keep it charged. Then when the power goes out, I've got power on demand. These are also great because they are modular. Now, this is the Flex Tactical on the screen. That is not out yet. That you can pre-order that. That is the new version that was designed with the U.S. Air Force. So if you are talking about like brand trust, the Air Force Research Laboratory is directly working with Energy. But if you want to go for the one that I have and that I think is good enough for 99% of people, is the Flex 1500. It's modular like Legos, and it can actually be altered as far as the overall purpose of it can be changed around. For example, you can add a supercharger that allows you to plug in a max of 12 panels rather than 4. And you can stack up to 96 batteries. Again, you can expand it up to 96 batteries to this unit. So you can make this an entire professional home unit. If you did want to make this a UPS system, they now have the Flex UPS Rapid Charger, which turns it into an uninterrupted power supply. Essentially what that means is if you plug your fridge into it and then the power goes out, it will automatically kick over to this. And basically you can keep this plugged in, your fridge plugged into it, and when the power goes out, it will switch automatically over to the generator. It's really, really cool. You can change it around. You can mod it however you like, and there's tons of accessories like stoves and coffee makers and all sorts of things that are specifically designed for this that almost take no power. For instance, the lights take about 9 watts, and they can light up an entire field. I mean, they're incredible. So that's really awesome, meaning that you can basically use those certain accessories for near forever. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy. Get not only a special discount, but you'll help our independent news, and you'll get one of the best solar generators on the market. You don't want to, if you cheap out on something like this, you'll get what you pay for. You want something that will be reliable and that will work in an SHTF situation. That's why you want to go with Energy. The Flex 1500 is also the only solar generator you can get an EMP shield for. They make a solar Energy Flex 1500 EMP shield, so you can actually protect this against EMP and CME. So make sure to go check it out. marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle, otherwise you will not get the special discount. Usually our links just by themselves give you the discount. This one you do have to put that code word Marfoogle. All right, and then Dex, why don't you go over the Air Force retreating from Taiwan? It's more of it's like a slow retreat, but it's something's up.
Yeah, it is. So this is an interesting perspective. They're not talking about like we're pulling the Air Force out of Taiwan. They're not actually in Taiwan, but the message here, or the research here that's been done, is really drawing along the notion that the amount of Air Force that we have in support or potential support of Taiwan in the Pacific, specifically the Western Pacific and areas around there, we've actually been withdrawing squadrons. We don't have as many as we used to have there. We've been bringing it down. And they also make the point that we've been doing the same thing with our Navy, in the sense of the amount of ships that we've been either deploying there, but more so that we've been adding or trying to grow. We're being outpaced. So now China is on, has more ships than we do. China is investing heavily in its Air Force and creating many, many more planes in that region than we're going to have. So it's not that we're not putting them there. We're actually retracting. So it's counterintuitive to this whole idea that we're going to protect the South China Sea. We're going to protect or potentially protect Taiwan if there's an invasion. We're going to protect, Japan and all of that, if we're actually not continuing to invest at the same level that the adversary, aka China, is doing. That they're investing far more than us. So pretty fascinating point of view. It's not new news in the sense that I know we have talked quite a bit about the ships, the Navy portion, but this is just more of specifically about the dollars spent towards F-35s, the amount of withdrawal that we've had and pulling back certain of the Air Force equipment that's over there. That it doesn't look like we're obviously trying to build up or support that area with the actions that we've been taking over the last few years.
Yeah, so obviously with Taiwan, everybody is watching it. I saw some interesting comments about that. Somebody said that President JB, they know he's bluffing, that he'll actually just let it go. Many people agree with that. By the way, a couple comments. What was that? Ian DeBow says, I haven't been able to use mine. I don't know if did you get the Flex 1500 or did you get the X2? Somebody else says, I wish I had one. Warren G said that somebody hit a light pole. If Ian DeBow, if you haven't used it, I have found really cool things. Like we were able to go camping and we brought my friend's projector and we were able to bring out a sheet and we were able to watch downloaded movies. In fact, I downloaded stuff from YouTube and stuff, and we were able to watch videos on like a 70-inch, it was bigger than that, it was like 100-inch sheet movie theater in the woods in the middle of nowhere. We also were able to, about a year back, we hooked up an Xbox to it, Xbox, TV, all the stuff, and we were able to play like in the middle of nowhere. We were playing, what was it? Battlefield 2027 or whatever the new one is. So it's fun. And then also all the time I use it for my construction tools. I use it for my drills and my circular saw. I use it for all of my little tiny my hacksaw, the Gilder saw, the smaller one. And I've been able to use it for pretty much everything. If you bring it with you, or if you go to work, doing something with your hands, it's really, really great because you can plug in. And then the X2, this one has come in really handy because it has the built-in super, super bright light. It's just built into the unit. I honestly think that these things are so cool. Again, it's more than just like an affiliate. It's something that I believe that people should have. If not solar, then you need a gas generator. Generators come in handy all the time, and people should have them. If you can't afford to get one of these, I would save up. But I would also first, if you can save up to a smaller goal, get yourself a really good dual fuel gas generator. Dual fuel because it's going to be easier to find. The other problem with getting a generator, and this is like as far as prep goes, is how do you guys think that we're going to be able to get fuel? Most of us, especially, if you live in an apartment or if you live in a small place, how are you going to store fuel? Not everybody can have a barrel of fuel. So do you think that the gas stations are going to be open when SHTF happens? I don't. So that's why I think that the solar will be a good backup. It would be great to have, both if you have the opportunity to have a good dual fuel and to have a solar generator, or to even have multiple. But it's to the point where people should have some sort of backup. Everybody knows how, I'm sure some of you have stayed at a family member's house when you lose power for multiple days. Think about being able to just stay home and to be able to resume as usual. That is why it is really cool. It gives you a freedom. It literally takes you off grid. So make sure to go check those out. But if you don't get one through us, try to figure out if you can get one from a garage sale or from a friend or from Craigslist or from Facebook. I've seen some really good deals on gas-powered generators or even smaller solar generators on Marketplace. So if you can't afford to get one through us, get one in general. That's a serious recommendation. And I'm sure any of you that already have one and used it a lot know exactly why. Let's see here. Dex, why don't we, first of all, I do want to thank everybody for the Tilly Willies, and then thank you everybody that has supported today. Crusader General. Netflix also had a fiction on the Ohio train crash before the crash. Yes, I know. And it was called, oh gosh, what the heck is the name of it? Where they said the dark billowing cloud, the featherly plume, featherly plume, and then dark billowing cloud. Ilea knows it. Ilea's the one who shouted out. White Noise. Yes, Ilea, I knew you would be the first one. White Noise was actually pretty funny and actually pretty funky. That was a weird movie, but I actually liked it. I like that main guy that plays the dad in that movie. Let's see here. Let's go over the web only. Crusader General, thank you. NS909, JR Pales, thank you 909 for sending in your video. That is very creepy. I hope that's just going to I don't know. I hope it's going somewhere. And then Dex, let's go over the web only. We've got lots of crazy stuff here.
Certainly. Head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up that show notes link down in the description. It'll take you right to this webpage. We put it together for today's show. It's got all the news we just talked about and then the rest of the story. So when you get to this yellow bar, it says overflow, you will find the rest of the story. Lots going on there. So Pac West is having super trouble. I think they've even down 50% in after hours. I think it says 40% when this article is written. Probably the next bank to go. So the dominoes are falling on some of these banks. Keep an eye out. I think that if you happen to have money in one of these regional banks, the best thing you might want to do is go look at their stock price and see if they're tanking harder than other regional banks. That'll at least give you some level of understanding on how much the market thinks they will be able to withstand the storm they're all going through. But this is not a good sign. It's a strong sign that Pac West is probably going to take a hit. We got updates on the writer's strike that's underway now. An interesting story coming out of Kentucky about kids like 10 years old working at McDonald's. They're forecasting a crazy hurricane season upcoming, or very active as they're calling it. We do have a little bit of the political hubbub that's going around between T-Man and who's running and DeSantis and what's going on with JB and his kid. All of that's there. There's some updates around the coronation that's coming up in a few days. That is specifically around facial recognition, which, by the way, we talked about being used in other countries just last night in Overflow. So if you're curious about that facial recognition, go check out last night's show at the bottom in the Overflow section. I think was doing stuff to control who can come and go. And the same thing may be happening in the coronation. They're using facial scanning. And they're calling it in a dystopian way. So an update on new documents coming out around EpiPen, as well as some other news that's going on. So that's just scratching the surface of what's there that we put together for you. It's there every night. It's on our website. It's the rest of the story. If you're not going there, you're missing out. marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show, or right down below in that description, click on the show notes link. It'll take you right here.
And as Missouri says, King Charles is the anti. I've seen that a lot lately, that same sentiment. But not everybody. I thought that the Antichrist was somebody that everybody loves. Carol, D.W. David Way. Let's see here. Thank you. It's called Mod rating. Let's see here. Raquel R. So much going on. Truth Iris. Ian DeBow. You have a good memory. Ian DeBow's been here for a while. I really like Ian. Thank you. Miss Jamie. I like all of the people here right now. We've got people here that have been here for years. Zen1AZ says good night at Mark. And by the way, I don't know. Did you guys see Alaska Prepper pop in? He said he might pop in today. I appreciate him. Make sure to go see him on marfooglenews.com/friends. And thank you, everybody. Thank your mods. They do a great job keeping it peaceful down in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And much love. Thank you. And make sure to go over to find the full bibliography over on marfooglenews.com. Dex, thank you for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Thank you, 909, for sending in the video of the tanks. You can find that over on the website as well, and all of the tweets and videos of the Kremlin getting hit. In closing, love you guys, and please consider just having a basic plan for you and your fam. And, of course, thank you for being a part of ours. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro.
Back me up when I stand my ground, and lift me up when they push me down. If you say your family and your family now, speak positive thoughts when I'm not around. Back me up when I stand my ground, and lift me up when they push me down. If you say your family and your family now, speak positive thoughts when I'm not around. Back me up when I stand my ground, and lift me up when they push me down.
Let's do a new one for, let's see, JR Pale Horse. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
If you say your family and your family now, speak positive thoughts when I'm not around. Back me up when I stand my ground, and lift me up when they push me down. If you say your family.
Oh, and I got to show you one more thing, you guys. We are trying to add. We got the new off-grid desert farming with Paul and Adrian. Again, the new Rumble one over there. So a lot of people were asking because the old one, obviously, the link to their old one did not work. So, because it got knocked off. So make sure to go check it out, and then their backup over there, over here on the tubes. So make sure to go check that out as well. I forgot to mention that. And I feel like I'm forgetting something else as well. And if you are to this point in the show, or if you followed us here, put Rubix in the comments. Rubix, R-U-B-I-X. And I will read you out tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Love you. Let's get it done. Boom. Boom.